This is going to be my really quick tutorial on highlighting and contouring. So I already have my liquid foundation and my concealer on, my spot concealer. So the first tool that I'm going to use is going to be my facial highlighting pen. Now what this product is, this is a liquid highlighter. There are particles in this product that do attract light, which is really great, but there is a little bit of discrepancy whether or not this is a concealing product. This product in particular is something that I personally consider a concealer because it will work to cover up some of the darkness underneath your eyes, provided you have the right shade for your skin tone. It is available in 4 shades, but what I do with it is I will paint a triangle underneath my eyes. This is part of the video where I look super attractive. So you paint a triangle shape underneath your eyes and you want to extend it. You want to bring it down a little bit farther onto the cheekbone than what you think might be normal. And then you also want to extend it a little bit out past the outer edge of your eye towards your temple. This is a product, obviously, that you twist at the bottom, and it is dispensed through a brush top, which is really nice. It doesn't require an extra brush for application. And then all I do is just go in with my ring finger and just really gently tap and blend until everything is blended out and soft and diffused. Now what this is going to do is, since it does attract light to the area, you also want to concentrate a little bit of it here on the inner corner. What that's going to do is it's going to bring lift and lightness to the center of the face, which is obviously what you want. You always want light to be drawn to the center of the face, and then you want darkness to be on the outer edges of the face. So what this is going to do is, for me, this does act as a concealing product. It does work to conceal my dark under eye circles. However, if you are someone who has maybe deeper bags under your eyes, or you have really dark under eye circles, I do not recommend applying this product in the exact same way that I did if you have very pronounced under eye bags. What I would recommend for that is Mary Kay makes a yellow concealer, which is fantastic for canceling out the darkness and the blue. Since blue and yellow are on opposite ends of the color wheel, they do work to cancel each other out. So what I would suggest is applying a very light layer of the yellow concealer underneath your eyes and tapping it out with your finger, exactly as I've done here. And then let that sit for a second, let it kind of, sink into the skin. And then I would go in with the facial highlighting pen, and instead of doing this triangle shape, I would do the triangle shape with the yellow concealer. If you want a tutorial specifically on how to highlight and lift and kind of erase heavy under eye bags, let me know in the comments down below, and I will do a video on that. After I have done my facial highlighting pen underneath, I will then go in with my mineral foundation powder, and I like to set all of my liquid products on my face before I apply any bronzer, just because I like the way that the bronzer blends out when it's on top of the mineral powder first. I'm going to set my makeup with my mineral powder, and I'll be right back. So now that you have set your liquid products with your powder, whether it be the sheer pressed, the translucent, or the mineral powder foundation, that is when I like to go in with my bronzer. And I like the Desert Sun bronzer for myself for every day, just because it's the fairest. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, and since I do like a matte full coverage look for my skin all over, I do like to use blushes and bronzers that have some shimmer in it, just because it does bring a little light to the face. If you prefer a dewy finish foundation, I would definitely suggest using a matte bronzer instead. So what I do is I go in with my cheek brush and pick up some of the bronzer, both of the colors, so I just kind of swirl the brush in between both of the colors. And then What you want to do here is you want to create depth and dimension on the face by creating shadows that aren't already there. What you're going to do is you're going to make the ever so attractive fish face. You're going to see where your natural cheekbone is. If you're somebody who has really high pronounced cheekbones, then first of all, you're very blessed and I'm very jealous. But second of all, it'll be a little bit easier for you. You won't need to contour as much. If you're somebody like me whose face is a little bit more round, then chances are you're not going to be able to tell exactly where your cheekbone is and where the recessed hollow is without touching it. So when you make the fish face, it kind of shows you where the contour of your cheek is. So you can kind of get an idea as far as where the highest part of your cheekbone is, and then where right underneath that is where you want to apply your contour. So this is where you're going to apply your bronzer to essentially make a shadow on your face that isn't there without it looking like you just painted a brown line on your face. And you're just going to apply bronzer where the hollow of the cheek is. Now, you don't want to just have a brown streak like that. You do want to blend it out along the edges of your face to obviously make it look a little bit more natural. So after you've got the heaviest concentration of color where you need it, what I like to do is just take whatever's left on the brush and drag it down onto my chin line. You want to kind of blend it out along the edge of your face so that you don't have a lot of harsh lines. And then just take it and blend it along your jawline. What that does is that just kind of helps to create a more defined jawline. If you're somebody who is blessed with a really strong chin, then this is not necessarily something that you would need to do. But for those of us who don't necessarily have the strongest jawline, this is definitely a tool in our arsenal. So this kind of gives you a visual of what it looks like with versus without. So on this side, obviously there's a little bit darker of a shadow here. The cheekbone is a little bit raised. Overall, there's a little bit more definition to this side of the face versus this side where everything is just kind of uniform almost. You can still see, obvious features, but it's a little bit more uniform. There's not a whole lot to break it up and to really show where the cheek is. So all I'm gonna do is the same on the other side. What else you can do to create some more depth on the face is to take just whatever's left on the brush. I wouldn't pick up any more product, but blend a little bit of the bronzer onto your temple area and then just kind of along your hairline. And what that's going to do is that's just going to keep continuity as far as keeping darkness on the outer edges of the face. It's also going to bring light to the center of your face, which is what you want. It just kind of makes everything look a little bit more complete. What I have begun to do is I will incorporate two blushes, keeping a darker blush on the outer corner of my cheek and a lighter blush on the inner area of my cheek. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of my favorite darker blushes right now is Bold Berry. So what I'm going to do is pick up a little bit of that on the brush and apply this on the top of the cheekbones back towards my ear and just blend it out. And I'm only going to go in about halfway on my cheekbone. So I'm going to stop about where my eyebrow ends and keep that rich darker color on the outer half of my cheekbones. And all I'm going to do is just apply this right on top of where the bronzer is. And that's going to keep everything soft and blended and diffused. Now, this is definitely a technique that works for all cheekbone types. This might need to be the only step that you do if you don't want to do a full face of makeup or you don't have a lot of time. This right here, leaving it just as this is right now, would be totally fine. But if you do have a little bit more time or you do want to accentuate your cheekbones a little bit more, what you can also do is pick a lighter blush, a much softer color, and apply it to the inner half of your cheekbones. Now the rule with cheek color in general is you want to keep your cheek color approximately 2 finger widths away from your nose. So really you're only going to be concentrating a little bit of that lighter color just on probably this first third of your cheekbone. It's really going to accentuate your cheekbone even more. Sorry, the cat is in the drawer and she's rocking it back and forth. And honestly, in my opinion at least, it looks a lot more natural. We don't blush in one single color, nor do we blush in circles right here on the front part of our cheek. So when we blush, color is varied all over the whole face. And for me personally, when I blush, it's not just right here. I actually blush on the tops of my cheekbones themselves. So whenever I go to do my blush, I want that to look natural. I don't want it to be forced. I don't want it to be, you know, Raggedy Ann. So the blush that I am loving right now is Strawberry Cream. And I love this blush because it's such a creamy, gorgeous color. I love this blush color. This might be my all-time favorite blush color. This blush is also gorgeous because it has lots of gold flecks in it, which for me being as pale as I am, I love. I love it. I can't help it. So what I'm going to do now is smile just to find where the apex of the cheek is. And for me, it's not directly underneath my pupil. It is just slightly off to the side for me. So what I'm going to do is with that Strawberry Cream, I'm going to blend it just back and forth on that front third of the cheek. Just to make sure everything is all blended out, I will take a clean powder brush and just kind of go back and forth, not very neat or particular, and just kind of blend everything out. Make sure everything is all happy together on the face. Now, at this point, this is where you could do some highlighter. Highlighter is not something that I personally really prefer for myself just because I am so fair. It's not really going to show up that much anyway unless it's just sheer sparkle. If you are darker, when you get into more of the beige and olive and bronzer skin tones, highlighter is gorgeous, especially with the darker you get. Obviously, contour is not going to be something that you need to focus on as much as highlighting. But one thing that you can do if you are looking for just a little bit of something extra, the new eyeshadow that Mary Kay has coming out that's called Sparkling White. It is gorgeous. I would probably stay away from this as a highlighter for darker skin tones, so the darker olive and bronze, just because it is so white and so frosty and so sparkly. It's not something that would look natural. It could very easily make you look ashy or dry. So for you, I would suggest something more golden or warm tone. Probably Gold Coast or even Honey Spice eyeshadow, or even just the lighter shade in the Desert Sun bronzer. That would be beautiful on you too. But with me being glow in the dark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach for some of this sparkling white, and I'm going to do this with my crease brush. So I am using an eyeshadow brush for this, and that is okay. The reason I do this is because it gives me more control over where I'm applying the product and how it's blending out rather than a cheek brush would, because that's made to cover a larger area and I don't want highlighter all over my whole cheekbone. When it comes to highlighter, you want to have a very controlled hand with it so you don't go too crazy. You want to be able to really keep it where you want it. And I've picked up a little bit of that sparkling white. So you want to apply your highlight color on the top of your cheekbone. And then once you've got that applied, I again go in with my powder brush and just kind of make sure everybody's all blended in and happy.